of banditry in Kaduna South particularly, but not directed to a particular religion. So we also note that the Nigerian Constitution of the Federal Republic, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, guarantees freedom of religion, equal protection under law, and obliges the states to protect lives and property of citizens irrespective of faith and ethnicity. Recognizes the importance of transparent communication, interfaith solidarity, and fact-based reporting in countering extremist propaganda and preventing sectarian division. Mindful of the recent discussion in the United States particularly, and United States Senate and Congress particularly on religious freedom, including moves to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, which is known as CPC. And I want to state here that Nigeria was placed on that by the current president, Donald Trump. And it was during the government of Biden that Nigeria was removed. The implication of this is somewhat, and I hope my colleagues will understand that. Then affirm that while Nigeria faces security challenges, these are not defined by religion alone, but by complex mix of terrorism, criminality, and social economic factors. Accordingly, urge the federal government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, security agencies, and other relevant stakeholders to enhance transparent and data-driven public communication, providing verified casual figures and the context, and counter the misinformation. For example, what I read about the submission of Ted Cruz was that over 50,000 Christians were killed. But to me, it may be more or it may be less. But the UNDP authentically gave the figure from 2009 to date as 350,000 deaths occurred as a result of Boko Haram terrorists and all that attack. 2, call on religious leaders, civil societies organizations, and Nigerian media, as well as foreign media, to communicate responsibly, avoiding language that could inflame sectorial division while fostering dialogue, unity, and mutual trust. Example of this is just yesterday, the CAN made a statement that it is not true. The same thing today, there's social media information going around that Christians are being persecuted. This is coming originally from the American Senate, and this Senate or the National Assembly have a responsibility. Now, 3, mandate the Committee on Foreign Affairs, National Security to collaborate with executive in developing a coordinated national communication strategy to present accurate information on security and interfaith relations. Engage constructively, and that is very important, Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues. This is coming from the US Congress originally. On the 2nd of October, the Canadian Parliament also expressed concern through their leaders. The House has passed a resolution on this matter, Resolution 594 in the US Congress, and it has also been referred to their Foreign Relations Committee. Andrew Scheer, who is the leader of the opposition in the Canadian Parliament, brought this matter forward on the 2nd of October 2025. The U.S. Congress Foreign Affairs Committee have been given that responsibility in March. Ted Cruz, most recently, and some others, 5 senators, all Republicans, have also led their colleagues in condemning.
What page? What page is that?
Sir?
What page?
It's additional information.
I didn't hear you.
Okay, you need it.
What page? What page are you reading now?
It's additional information.
But you should give us a written. You should give us a written document. You are debating your own motion.
Yes. No, I'm not debating. I'm providing more information.
No, but it should be in writing.
Okay.
I think you should first stick to what you have on paper. So
okay.
Until we go into debate. Because
okay, and lastly, I'm even done, Mr. President.
Okay. Then I thank you.
Promote interfaith peace-building programs that emphasize shared experiences and losses. And then finally, urge the federal government to ensure justice and accountability for the victims of violent attacks, irrespective of religion, ethnicity, as a means of addressing impunity, promoting reconciliation, and strengthening public confidence in the institution. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, before I stand, and you said this, I should stick to the information on the motion. But as I want to say, Mr. President, if some of us know or some of us don't know, as I stand before you, I am a product of both religions. My mother is a Christian.
I thought we should have a seconder. Let somebody second this motion. Then we can now subject it
Would
to
I have the chance
debates.
again to talk about it?
No. The procedure.
Okay. So be it.
It's a motion.
I therefore move the motion.
Mr. President, I am one of the co-sponsors of this motion, and I 100% align myself with the content and prayer of this motion. Mr. President, I believe, and it is very common knowledge to us, that nobody is supporting crime or any act of terrorism in Nigeria. The government and the good people of Nigeria are doing their own best to make sure that we are living in a very peaceful and conducive atmosphere. In our constituencies, which may surprise some of Nigerians, is that I have so many Christians in my own constituency, over 50 churches from my own constituency, and we are living peacefully with them. There was nobody is complaining. And they are from Kano. They have their churches. When you go to Kano, even the municipality of Kano, you will find out that there are so many churches and Christian center, and they are doing their activities day in, day out. And in some cases, our governors or previous governors are in one way or the other join hands with them to provide security to entire Kano. Some of the leaders of Kano in my own state are members of the Security Council, and they are members of our traditional institution. They are doing their own best. It is a surprise for us to hear a Congress like United States Congress, where all of us were frauding, to come up with this kind of bill, where most of Nigerians are very ignorant on the content and the intent of the bill, which, with your permission, Mr. President, I will read the prayer or the intent of the bill, which if for any reason they pass it, it will be a very dangerous to us, both the Christian and Muslim. One, the bill is Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025. Specifically will impose targeted sanctions against Nigerians officials who facilitate violence against Christians and other religious minorities, including by Islamic terrorist group. Impose targeted sanctions against Nigerians officials who impose Sharia and blasphemy laws in their state. Requires the Secretary of State to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Country of particular concern. Then requires the Secretary of State to ensure that Boko Haram and the ISIS West Africa remain designated and the entities of particular concern, which we all agree. We condemn their activity. We are not in support of what they are doing, and we all agree that what they are doing is un-Islamic. It is not in line with the Islamic norm and culture. And finally, sir, I am seriously worried if a parliament like US Congress or a senator, per se, a higher ranking senator or a higher ranking member of the Congress will come up with a very uninformed position. With me, sir, I have 50 places where militia or non-state actors attack Muslim when they are observing religious activities. 50, it is here, sir. We don't have time to read it. And finally, we have some places, almost 10 places from 2015 to today, where mistakenly, the Nigerian Air Force attacked and killed so many Muslims. The recent one is in Kaduna. They are coming from Maulid. 120 innocent Nigeria, men and women. We are there to commiserate with them in Borno and in so many places. It is still fresh in our mind. In 2014, when a terrorist bombed Jumat mosque in Kano, where over 250 people died. We have all the documents with us, and I think as a parliament, we must take a position and we must join hands with the government to inform the US and the US Congress that the position they are taking is not in tandem with the reality of what is going on. And we condemn criminal acts, we condemn terrorists, we are not in support of them, and we will do everything possible to make sure that we have a peaceful Nigeria. And finally, I am commending our clergies, more especially Khan, who yesterday issued a statement, and so many well-meaning Nigerians who show their concern on this issue.
We need to engage knowledge at this time to understand the strategy of the terrorists. We must come to terms to understand the strategy of the terrorists and their praxis. And I think, Mr. Senate President, there might be need for us to have a closed session because it's a security matter. So distillment of fundamental information that are very secret cannot be said here openly. We need to understand the tactics and the praxis of the terrorists. And we must now engage the executive about counterterrorism because the argument
is that most of the launch counter-terrorism approach are not sufficient enough to actually engage the terrorists. The summary of my submission is that unless we can place in proper perspective the strategy of the terrorists, it will be difficult, Mr. Senate President, unless we engage knowledge and know the strategy of the terrorists. It will be difficult for us to actually suggest what counter-terrorism strategy that you engage to get this thing out of us. It's not a sympathy matter. The moment the United States Senate knows that we are doing this engagement, then obviously speaking, they cannot pass anything over there. The key thing, the summary of my submission is that we must engage knowledge, one, to understand the strategy of the terrorists. If we get that one documented and we know it very well, we must now know what counter-terrorism are we going to use before we go to dissemination of information and political propagandas and all the rest. Life is priceless, Mr. Senate President. And I must thank you again for approving security summits in this Senate, being headed by Senator Okoyemi also. And I think this is very important. But before I take my seat, I must say clearly, it is not all the matters that we know of that we can discuss here. We must go into executive session to particularly to define and redefine our counter-terrorism. I'm just back from the United Nations Counter-Terrorism Conference, and I was able to persuade the participants there from about 180 countries that our counter-terrorism approach adopted by Mr. President in the state of Rivers State was the best to do, because we cannot allow Nigeria, to be a battleground for intervention engagement arising from insufficient security from outsiders. And they agree with me, but they were able to get the information that the executive counter-terrorism was not lawless. And I challenge them, mention one person that was killed in Rivers State within the 6 months of state of emergency. That means our counter-terrorism works very well there. In this matter, on this motion, Mr. Senate President, there is need to engage knowledge. Let's refer back to executive session at appropriate time to discuss and evaluate terrorist strategy. Then we will be able to define counter-terrorism strategy that we will adopt to make, it's not a matter of Christian or Muslim or whatever. Once we do this, we have a better way to go. Thank you very much for this short snap. Thank you.
Somebody suggested that we ought to have gone into executive session to discuss this. But I don't think we can win. No group can win any discussion on this, because it depends on the state you are looking at. If terrorism occurs in a Christianly dominated state, most people that will die there will be Christians. If it occurs in a Muslim-dominated state, most of those who will die there will be Muslims. But if it occurs particularly in the North Central, you will notice that it will be targeted at maybe churches, because that is what they are able to get. And then at the end they will say, oh, it's Muslims that kill Christians. If it happens in Kano or Borno, they will say Christians kill Muslims. So the way the whole situation is that we still need to go into executive session and get a date for our security summit, so we can have close discussion on these matters. What is happening in the United States is of concern to Nigeria. It's of concern to the Christians, it's of concern to the Muslims. Because the moment they bring sanctions will breed poverty. Poverty knows no religion. So for me, engagement will be the best. So when we go into executive session, we can decide to set up a small ad hoc committee to go to the United States of America and engage our colleague parliamentarians there. And then to also educate them. Because if you see what these people are doing, most of them are outsiders. When they come and start spraying bullets from GP, what do you call it, or they throw rocket, they are not throwing rocket into the crowd, targeting a particular religion. They are killing Nigerians. I don't know who will now go and sit down and bring out maybe the dead bodies and say, this one is a Christian, this one is from this family, this must be a Muslim. So we are facing a situation whereby these terrorists are trying to terminate the lives of Nigerians. And then, of course, frustrate us from going into the farms, producing food to feed ourselves. So this discussion will be better in a closed session. And I think at the end of the day, we should actually have a small team that should visit our colleagues and also put the other side. Because some people must have gone there to give a one-sided story. And at the end, it will now look as if only Christians are being killed by terrorists in Nigeria. But I can tell you that a lot of Muslims have lost their lives in the last 5-10 years. The same way Christians have also lost their lives. So my personal opinion is that Nigerians have lost their lives as a result of insurgencies, banditry, and others. So if you look at what is happening in the Southeast, predominantly Christians, most of those that are killed in the Southeast, including the late husband of our demised icon, Dora Akunyili, the way the man was shot dead and everything, will you come and ascribe that to religion? I'm talking about what IPOP is doing. You see brothers killing brothers. Okay, so the sit-at-home that is going on Mondays in the Southeast that has almost crippled the economy of the Southeast. Is it targeted at Christians or Muslims? So Nigeria has complex security situations, and we should actually go out there and educate people so that they will know what to do. But when they just come out with a one-sided motion, it means they have a target, and that target is to strangulate the economy of Nigeria. That's my personal opinion. So it's left to us as a parliament to take proactive actions and be strategic in our response. If we stay here to give figures and instances where Muslims were killed or where Christians were killed, then we are not helping the situation. Ours should be, what do we do to ensure what Senator Jim Ibrahim said, counter terrorism? How do we respond to the guerrilla tactics of the terrorists, whether internal or external aggressors?
Senate President Senator Godswill Akpabio has also called for a stronger partnership between the Nigerian Parliament and the Russian Federation. He made the call during a visit by the Russian ambassador to Nigeria, Andrei Podelychev, at the National Assembly. Senator Akpabio said Nigeria is open to collaboration with Russia in ICT, space technology, and satellite development, while appreciating Russia's support in defense, intelligence sharing, and scholarships for Nigerian students.
Members of Nigerians need to take part in these events too. Of course, the Federation Council actively participates.
From record, sometime in 2006, we had a commission established between Nigeria and Russia to provide a framework for the implementation of concluded bilateral frameworks between Nigeria and the Federation of Russia. And I think you met in 2006 and also in 2009 in Moscow. And then we met again in 2014 in Moscow. And it's almost, when I was in the Senate, then I was a minority leader. We also met in 2016. It is Russia's turn to host the next Commission's meeting. So please note it that we are waiting to come over to your side for the next meeting of the Commission, which is meant to enhance and oil and nurture
or bilateral agreements between your federation and Nigeria. And on the part of the Nigerian Senate, we'll be very glad to also have a stronger relations between the Senate and the upper chambers of the Russian Federation. Russia signed to cooperate in building a nuclear plant in Nigeria. That was some time back. And the Russian State Atomic Energy Corporation, Rosatom, signed the first intergovernmental agreement to cooperate in developing nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, not for war, in 2009. In 2015, 2 sites were located. One was at Keregu and in Kogi State, and the other one was in Akwa Ibom State, in Itu. And those were confirmed as preferred sites for Nigeria's first nuclear power plants after evaluation by the Nigerian Atomic Energy Commission in strict compliance with international standards and best practices for peaceful purposes. So there's a lot that you may have to reignite as you start your services, not just for Russia, but also for Nigeria. I could remind you of so many things. And therefore, we look forward to having private interactions, private meetings, so that I will show you the areas of cooperation, the areas of trade and commerce that your country and our country must reignite and to strengthen the bond for mutual commercial and economic benefits. The Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, NINCOMSAT, launched the second phase of an accelerator program to foster innovation in the space and satellite industry, as well as provide support for technology startups. I know this was also facilitated by the Russian Federation. I want to express Nigeria's openness to partner with Russia to develop the country's ICT. The space and satellite sectors. So Your Excellency, the Ambassador, you'll be working for both Russian Federation and also as Nigeria's ambassador to attract serious investment and develop areas of ICT and the nuclear and other sectors. So we awaited you. In the area of defense and military cooperation, I must put on record that we appreciate the Russian government for its support and assistance in terms of intelligence gathering and sharing of intelligence to aid the fight against terrorism and to aid the fight against insurgency in Nigeria. So we thank you for sharing of the intelligence. I must commend the Russian Federation also for its support to the Nigerian military. And of course, Nigeria and Russia in 2021 also signed an agreement on military and technical cooperation to train Nigerian military personnel within some of the institutions in Russia. So these are areas awaiting your action, which you have to reignite and strengthen. I must say that Nigeria is very concerned over the growing presence of private military companies, the PMCs, such as Africa Corps in the West African region. It's just a concern which we express, which I think we can also discuss in close quarters so that we know the methodology, the purpose, the intent, and the outcome, which we believe should be in the interest of not just Russia alone, but also in the interest of the countries of West Africa. And so I want to urge, instead of military cooperation through existing multilateral structures like the Multinational Joint Task Force, MNJTF. We should continue to do so, a bilateral government-to-government basis. We are seeking your support on strategic communications to combat the ongoing disinformation campaign targeted at Nigeria. I'm sure you are aware the recent campaign against Nigeria, and of course the recent campaign against Nigeria, and even the ECOWAS existing as an entity, which used to bring a lot of bond of unity in the sub-region, because it helped us a lot in terms of security, in terms of maintaining the closeness between the various countries. And we are concerned also that only you can assist us to bring back the Sahel states that have recently decided to leave the ECOWAS. Staying together is good, and cooperating with Russia from the point of view of ECOWAS will even be better than just the Sahel states that we look forward to discussing further with you so that we'll see what we can do in that direction. In the field of education, I want to appreciate the Russian authorities for the scholarships offered to Nigerian students to study in Russia, especially in the scientific and medical fields that will benefit humanity and the society as a whole. A record available indicates that 220 scholarships have so far been approved for year 2025 by the Russian Federation. In fact, one of my personal assistants and a doctor, Dr. Shedrack, I think he's here. Yes, so his school in Russia. Can you speak the language? Huh? And so greet the ambassador. Huh? Yes, he's one of those, I think, they do school in Crimea. Huh? Crimea. Yes, so he speaks Russian, and he works directly with me. So I intend to make him my own liaison officer between your office and my office. so that because he benefited from the relationship between Russia and Nigeria in the area of education. Just a little bit of emphasis that the Nigerian government has settled substantial amount of debts owed to the service provider of the Nigerian embassy in Moscow. Just an information. And just to assure the ambassador that efforts are ongoing to clear whatever remaining debts are there to service providers in the embassy of Nigeria in Moscow. And in terms of Russian recruits, Nigerians, we are a bit worried that many Nigerians are being recruited for the war in Ukraine. And I don't know, we will discuss that in camera since it has to do with security. We request your intervention to facilitate the return of the old residents in Russia, the old residents which was at number 48, Bolshaya Nikisha Street. Shedrack, did I pronounce that well? Number 48, Bolshaya Nikiska Street that was the Nigerian embassy. When I visited, that was a concern of the ambassador at that time. That was very strategic. We just want to appeal to you to help us to recover that residence for Nigeria. It's not been used since we were relocated. So I think it's not been used. It's not being used. It's not in use. It was our own, but we were told to vacate.
embassy is located in other buildings.
Yes, not in this place. So, it's something I think you should also look at. Well, if for any reason there was a time we also had. Yeah, but these places, this other building is still empty. It's still available for Nigeria, and number 48. 48. Bolshire, yeah. 48. Yes. So on any issue of any kidnapped citizen of Russia that may still be in captivity, like the one in Niger State, I think some time ago in Niger State, I will employ you to seek audience with the Chief of Defense Staff to look at the efforts so you can get an update, because we are not resting until the abductee is released. Yeah. Yes, but he has not been released. No, that's the point. So the Chief of Defense Staff is very ready to update you on what we are doing to ensure that that is yes. So I just want to advise that you do that, and then because the Deputy Director of Operations at the Defense Headquarters, Navy Commodore Brima, has been assigned to handle that, and it's available. I'll give you his contact number, his contact telephone number.
And now to the Green Chambers. The House of Representatives has launched several probes to ensure transparency across key sectors. Another committee will audit funds spent on the electricity power sector reform program from 2007 to 2024, as moved by Honorable Basi Ekbenyong.
Highly respected colleagues, for yielding the floor for me to move this all-important motion. The House is informed that the federal government of Nigeria initiated the electric power sector reform program via the Electric Power Sector Reform Act of 2005, which has now been repealed and reenacted as the Electricity Act of 2023, with the primary goal of creating a more efficient, reliable, and sustainable power sector. The House notes that this act led to the unbundling of the National Electric Power Authority and the subsequent privatizations of its successor, the Power Holding Company of Nigeria, into several generation, transmission, and distribution companies. The House notes that over these 18 years, from 2007 to 2024, before its successor Electricity Act of 2023 was enacted, significant public fund was appropriated, allocated and disbursed to the power sector to support this reform process, including direct budgetary allocation, loans, grants, and subsidies. And no proper audit has been conducted by this House on the impact assessment and expenditure by the MDA implementing the program. Mr. Speaker, concerned that an investigation and forensic audit of the activities, account, and fund appropriated and invested in implementing the PRSP has become imperative, pursuant to the powers of this House in Section 88 and 89 of 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and Section 56, sub 2 and 3, Section 159, sub 7, 8 of the Electricity Act 2023 to provide clarity on the utilization of this fund and to identify the bottleneck hindering sector progress. Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, the House resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to conduct a comprehensive and forensic audit into all funds allocated and expended on the implementation of electric power sector reform program from 2007 to 2024 under the now repealed Electric Power Sector Reform Act of 2005, reenacted as the Electricity Act of 2023. The House resolved to conduct an investigation into the activity of transmission companies, all these costs, their remittances, the tariff regime, and to ascertain the effectiveness or otherwise of the privatized power sector to the country. Mr. Speaker, the House resolved to invite the Minister of Power, the Managing Director of Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC, heads of Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Rural Electrification Agency, and other relevant stakeholders to appear before the committee to provide details and justification for the funds received and spent. Mr. Speaker, the House mandated the committee to examine the terms and conditions of all loans and grants received for the power sectors and to verify the status of all projects captured under the program. Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, the House resolved that a report in the findings and recommendations to the House should be done within 12 weeks for consideration and further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Thank you.
In another motion, Honorable Kafila Tobara called for stronger government action to promote girls' education and protection, especially in conflict areas.
The House notes that the International Day of the Girl Child is celebrated globally on the 11th of October annually. In recognition of the International Day of the Girl Child, we gather to celebrate the resilience, the strength, leadership of girls around the world, particularly those who find themselves on the front line of crisis. The House notes that this year's theme, "The Girl I Am, the Change I Lead, Girls on the Front Line of Crisis," acknowledges that girls are not merely victims of adversity. They are powerful agents of change who possess the potential to shape their future and their communities. Whereas girls are vital contributors to society and possess unique perspectives that drive meaningful change, their empowerment is crucial for advancing and achieving sustainable development and fostering peace for now and the future. The House is aware that in times of crisis, be it armed conflict, natural disaster, or public health emergencies, girls often bear the brunt of the consequences. They face increased risk of violence, exploitation, and discrimination, which can hinder their education and personal development. The House is also aware that despite these challenges, many girls have emerged as leaders in their communities, advancing for their rights and the rights of others. They are at the forefront of grassroots movements, using their voices to demand change and inspire action. There is need to harness the potentials of girls as leaders and change makers. It is essential to provide them with access to education, healthcare, and resources that support their personal and professional development. As we observe the International Day of the Girl Child, let us reaffirm our commitment to empowering girls as leaders in their own right. The change they lead is not only vital for their own future, but also for the future of our society. The House resolves that we call on the federal government to prioritize education and skills development for girls, especially in crisis-affected communities. That we urge security agencies and relevant stakeholders to implement measures to protect girls from violence and exploitation during crisis. Urge the Ministry of Women Affairs to create safe spaces, providing mental health support to girls to help them cope with trauma. To also partner with NGOs and other stakeholders to design and implement mentorship leadership training for girls, and mandate the Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development to ensure compliance.
And that's it on this edition of NAS Unplugged.
This week in the Senate, October 7th to 9th, 2025. Plenary is back in session, and the Red Chamber got straight to business. Senate President Godswill Akpabio delivered a heartfelt welcome speech. He commiserated with states affected by floods and praised senators for their dedication to national unity and service during the recess. 6 new bills were introduced, including the National Inland Waterways Authority Bill, the Federal Road Safety Corps Amendment Bill, and the National Youth Service Corps Amendment Bill. The Senate also passed for second reading the Passport Miscellaneous Provisions Amendment Bill, aimed at preserving Nigeria's image globally. And in concurrence business, it approved several Federal Medical Center Amendment Bills, strengthening healthcare delivery nationwide. The Senate commended the House of Representatives for its collaboration on healthcare reforms, then adjourned till Wednesday. Plenary resumed on Wednesday, October 8th, with Senate President Godswill Akpabio presiding. The day began with the inauguration of 2 new senators, Joseph Ikpea from Edo Central and Emmanuel Nwachukwu from Anambra South. Senator Kelvin Chukwu also announced his defection from the Labour Party to the All Progressives Congress. Welcoming him, the Senate President emphasized that Nigeria remains a multi-party democracy, encouraging opposition parties to strengthen their internal structures. The Senate paid tribute to the late Senator Solomon Ewuga, observing a minute of silence in his honor. Attention then turned to rising insecurity in Kwara South, as Senator Ashiru Oyelola moved a motion calling for a permanent military base in the region. 6 new bills were also read for the first time, including the Electoral Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill, and a Constitution Amendment Bill 2025. With major motions adopted, the chamber adjourned till Thursday. Thursday's session, presided over once again by Senate President Akpabio, focused on the presentation of 6 key reports, including the National Research and Innovation Council Bill, the Social Welfare Service Bill, and the Government Performance and Accountability Bill. Senator Ali Ndume led a motion addressing the Christian genocide narrative making rounds internationally, urging the federal government, the media, and religious leaders to promote verified data and interfaith understanding. The Senate resolved to hold an executive session next week to further deliberate on the issue. Before adjourning till Tuesday, October 14th, the Senate reaffirmed its commitment to transparency, unity, and responsible communication on national and global platforms. This is your Senate at work.
From debates to decisions and motions to milestones. Thank you for watching. I'm Ada Oka.
ADBN, Advocate Broadcasting Network. From the bowels of history.
Right from 2007, I was determined to put infrastructure on the front burner, and therefore 80% of my budget every year had gone into infrastructural development, while only 20% remains for recurring expenditure. It's not easy to achieve that. To do so, you must plug the loopholes of leakages in the system, and you must focus on things that will change the society. You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. And so what you are seeing today is also a product of proper budgeting.
From the bowels of history.
News on the go. ADBN is everywhere you are. Stay connected with us across all our social media and streaming platforms for exclusive news updates, captivating stories, and more. Join the ADBN community today via our various platforms. Anavo TV app, ADBN Channel 121, Niger TV app, ADBN TV, Linuxwell TV app. To get the latest news straight to your phone, join our WhatsApp TV channel. Just search for ADBN TV and hit the follow button. Turn on your notification to stay updated and never miss any part of the experience. Stay in the conversation with us across social media handles. On X at ADBN TV, Instagram at ADBN TV, Facebook ADBN TV, YouTube ADBN TV. Keep visiting our website on www.adbntv.com. Watch us live anytime, anywhere. ADBN TV, a part of you.
Hey, Hamed, did you hear that a meteorite will be landing near our school tomorrow?
Really? That sounds exciting. But Nkechi, where did you hear that?
Well, Mr. Frumpet told me, and he said it's true.
I just checked on the internet now, and it's not true. There is no report of a meteorite coming this way.
Huh? Are you sure?
Yes, Nkechi. And really, you shouldn't believe everything that you hear without checking the facts first.
Hello, friends. You know it's important to verify all information before spreading it, right?
But how do we do that?
Well, Nkechi, we can start by checking reliable sources like books, newspapers, or asking adults who have knowledge and expertise on the subject.
Or go online like I just did. It's quite easy actually.
Yes, Ahmed. We should be like the truth seekers, finding evidence before sharing anything.
Thanks, Captain Excellence. From now on, I will always double check before spreading any information.
Good job! Remember, knowledge is power, and spreading the truth is always the best choice. By fact-checking information before spreading it, you can make a big difference.